unfaithful than men. The numbers suggest that there are more women who are unfaithful than men. Now, I don't know what that means. I only suggest that when it comes to loyalty, partnership, and relationship that way, and the power in those, the power in partnership. And so suggestions and listening, when and you listen to people, we listen to people all the time. But how many people really understand other people's points of views, or we listen with that intent? So I just want to put that out there when it comes to the foundations for great achievement. Now, without getting too socially perceptive or involved, because we're talking about work, business, and developing business. And so your book, Miss Letitia, is.
We lost your sound. So, okay, so the topic is business empowerment. We're just going to go around the room and just talk about how Letitia's book could be used for business empowerment. A lot of times when you are in a situation where someone has betrayed you or you've lost trust, it's a horrible situation. And yet you've got to get back to business and you've got to work like business as usual. And many psychologists will tell you that you shouldn't carry baggage. You shouldn't carry baggage into your workforce because you can't function very well with that. So Elton brings up a very good point. Let's make this about business empowerment. So Letitia, tell us, how could women be empowered by your book?
Well, first and foremost, you can always be empowered when you're being honest, first of all. Know that loyalty is not, I'm not just talking about loyalty woman to woman. There's, of course, loyalty in the relationship, and then there's loyalty to oneself. Being empowered by my book to really to do the right thing, to get up and say what you feel, get up and say what you mean. My book is controversial. A lot of women have a tough time or really don't like hearing that, we blame the other woman. Even now, I even say in my book, we blame the other woman just as much as, if not more than we do the man, based on our actions towards one another. But what I do hope women learn from not just my book, but really from me as a whole, is that I took a situation that really almost had me at the point of not wanting to be here anymore because the pain was so deep. But I took that and turned it into a way to heal. This situation with my ex and his mistress happened some years ago. And I finally decided to finish this book about 2 years ago. And so I got to the business of healing. So that would really be, I hope, would be the takeaway for sisters as far as empowering and relating it to business. Get to the business of healing. If you can forgive, get to the business of forgiving, and really get to the business of fulfilling your dreams, because nobody can do that for you but you.
Well said. Anybody wants to share about a situation where you were betrayed, but you had to get back to work and kept moving? Donna?
I can't think of a direct betrayal, but I will say this, oftentimes women will not help other women. It's as if a successful woman is a threat to other women, whether it was when I was in the military or in the corporate world. And unfortunately, they will undermine you because they are threatened by your success. Because if you succeed, that inhibits their ability to go up the ladder. So I will say that sometimes women can be their own worst enemies. Yeah. And I think when Letitia was talking about her situations with the mistresses, it brought to mind some of those situations where women were not my best friends. And in reality, I think the men were cheering for me more than the women. That sounds terrible, but I think it's gotten better. I hope to God it's gotten better. But I did feel that pressure and was told by some of the women that, gee, how come you're getting ahead? What are you doing? They actually accused me of sleeping with my commanders. And I said, not only is that completely untrue, but it's disgusting that you would think that about me. So that's the kind of stuff you have to deal with sometimes when you're a successful woman, whether in the military or in the corporate world.
Well, I've always said that about you, Colonel Donna, that you rose military rank to being colonel, and that's a tough one. And why is it that women say that? They do that all the time. If you're successful, you must have slept with somebody. I mean, what kind of thing is that? Priscilla is our jewelry lady. Well, we love all the jewelry from paparazzi. So Priscilla, you deal with women every day. What is your advice to women?
I don't know. There's a lot of jealousness out there. I'm a victim of that. I never, on my job, when I did work, I'm just that type of person that I just love everybody, whether it's female, male, children. I just love people. But it was always, the women that I worked with, they felt that the men, they would do more for me than they would for them. And it was like Donna said, it was always that I was sleeping with them. But it wasn't that. It was just me as being friendly. I like to listen to people. They come to me, they could talk to me, and I could talk to them. But it's just something that some females just don't like me. And I can't get with what it is, other than me being me.
Okay, now let's hear from the men.
Okay.
So Grover can tell you many stories about women. And Kenneth, you've talked about failed marriages in your book as well. So both of you could give us some insight to women. What do you think?
I can relate to Letitia, and I can empathize, sympathize, and I really feel bad for her because it happened to me. I got married very young, and the military, being away, and I won't go into detail, but it was the opposite with the guy not saying, let's have a man-to-man talk, but he said some very nasty, degrading things to me. So as far as it having to do with empowerment, it made me stronger and want to carry on with my lifetime dreams. But Letitia, I know what you're going through or what you went through. It is a gut wrenching, it's indescribable.
It is. It really is.
Yeah, and there's something in Kenneth's book too. Kenneth, show us your book. Letitia, show us your book. So we are talking with authors and we are talking about the holidays, and what is the best gift to give people is wisdom. So this is one of the gifts of the holiday season, and we are recommending both books. They're going to be on our book list, and we will definitely invite you to our book club as well. We meet on Mondays, both authors. So we will put you on our top book list.
Let me say
Thank
this
you.
one thing. Let me say this one thing. That invariably, we live in a life in a world that is constantly changing, and we are changing with it. And but the things that we are not facilitating is that in every realm we must engage with respectfulness, appreciation, patience, listening, and and sometimes those are not in large supply. Patience for one, trying to be patient in a tense condition, or listening when there's no time, or making perceptions and decisions like that. Letitia, now the conversation that you had regarding this book with the other woman, it's very interesting that you could sit down and talk to each other with no preconditions, or to talk randomly with accuracy and intimacy. Now, big deal. I mean, now, if that were to happen more regularly, or if that had happened between you and your partner, or whatever, how, or he engages, I don't know. I mean, I don't ever profess to have any of the answers. I just,
We lost your sound. Yeah. So with that, I'd like to conclude the roundtable, and I'm again recommending the book authors. Grover, did you have any comments before I close? Grover's had his share of women.
Get your mic.
Your mic up. Yeah, Grover's had his share of women.
No, other than the fact I have 8 sisters and I love each one of them and we love each other dearly. And we communicate. The oldest is 92 and the youngest is 24 years younger. So we talk probably weekly. I know I do, to the oldest two. So my point is I have very fond memories of women, and my mom was the lead of our family. She, I mean, every one of us looked to her because she was the guiding light. Our father was from the times, and he did not, and talked very little. So our advice came from my mom, is to seek to rise above the fray and not blame anyone for anything. You are responsible for your own actions, and we lived to that. And all 14 of us never spent a day in jail. We just treat people like we want to be treated, and especially women. I've been married 49 years, and my wife is one of 3 girls. So she had no brothers, so I had to, look to women and love them dearly and treat them respectfully, as I would like to be treated.
Tell us about the pecans. So Grover's selling pecans to raise money for HBCU college students in need.
Well, it's not just HBCUs. It's specifically one university, Johnson C. Smith University in Charlotte, North Carolina, where I was the first in my family to go to school and had no idea what college was all about. And wound up graduating, spent time in Peace Corps in Kenya, East Africa, coming back. So now what I do is each year for 38 years, I've been selling pecans as a fundraiser, and 100% of the funds go to the school, because when I went, I had zero money. It only cost $1,200 a year to go to school. That was a few days ago. And I spent more than $30,000 a year for my son to go to UNC Chapel Hill. So I know what it costs to go to college. So I am very grateful of those who helped me, and I give back. And even to the point that some people laugh at me, because I'm not one to look to say what I have in my bank account, because I have zero. If anything's there and my wife doesn't know about it, it goes out to charity or missions. And so that's who I am. And I have not missed a meal because of that. And that's my faith and that's my belief. And I'm going to live that way until God calls me home.
Wonderful. So Grover's going to do a whole presentation. He's got a fantastic video about his book. His book is his family story.
Well, the book is not
siblings.
about the book. The book
Yeah.
is about my return to Kenya back 2000, January 2002. So it's basically after I served 2 years in the Peace Corps 52 years ago, I went back with a friend who served there with me, and we just went back over the land and the area we served in. So it's basically about our return trip to Kenya.
Okay, so stay on if you can to see this fantastic video and talk, and we'll talk more about pecans with Grover at between 1 and 2. And Priscilla's going to show us some fabulous jewelry. We have Pampered Chef coming up, so we're going to have some cooking going on the show. And so stay with us. And if you're watching online, please subscribe so you can see more videos. We will be airing our videos that we're recording today from Black Friday right through the holidays. I think we'll take it on to Valentine's Day. I think Tisha's book is perfect for Valentine's Day and for our women, and for our women's conference. So we're going to do a lot with her book.
Yeah.
So I'm ending this session. Anybody, Nancy, Mrs. Wooten, do you all want to make a comment on what you've heard today before we close out and get to Donna?
Okay.
Thank you so much. I've enjoyed hearing about the books, and I'm looking forward to finding out a little bit more about the books.
Yeah. Yep. And aren't you proud to be Black? So
all right.
we are doing
On
Black
that note,
empowerment today.
on that note, I'm going to
Yes.
finish with the final installment
Okay.
of our Black Facts.
Okay.
I'm saving one. I'm holding one for the last, but the last one, of course, we mentioned Mildred C. Kelly, who was the U.S. The first African-American woman who was an Army Sergeant Major. Now the next contributor, did we mention Jim Brown, who was the preeminent running back for Cleveland Browns, and 12,312 yards. And we're recognizing people and events and things like that. Now, the next recipient that we want to recognize, a fact, Errol Garner. I don't know if you know him. He was a jazz musician. He was the first